The figure in the video wasn't supposed to be there. I had reviewed the footage at least 20 times, and every single time the pale woman appeared standing directly behind me. The worst part was that she wasn't visible when I filmed it. The recording ended with her face inches from the camera lens. Her eyes were completely black, and her mouth opened far wider than any human should be capable of opening. Then the screen suddenly turned to static. Even now, years later, I still wake up in the middle of the night thinking about that image. Sometimes I wonder if uploading those recordings was the biggest mistake of my life. Sometimes I wonder whether she was ever really trapped inside that building at all. Before I tell you what happened in that final video, I need to explain how everything began. At the time, I was a freelance videographer obsessed with abandoned places and local legends. Exploring forgotten locations felt exciting rather than dangerous. I traveled across the country documenting old hospitals, schools, and buildings rumored to be haunted. Most investigations ended with nothing more than strange noises and disappointing footage. I believed ghosts were little more than stories designed to scare people. That confidence disappeared after the first case. The location was an abandoned farmhouse surrounded by dead fields and twisted trees. Local residents claimed a woman vanished there decades earlier without leaving a single trace. The house felt wrong the moment I entered. Dust covered every surface, yet fresh footprints stretched across the hallway floor. The tracks ended abruptly in front of a locked bedroom door. When I reviewed my footage later that night, I noticed something unusual. A transparent silhouette appeared briefly in a cracked mirror behind me. The figure remained visible for only 2 frames before disappearing. I assumed it was a camera glitch until I enhanced the image. The shape clearly resembled a woman wearing old-fashioned clothing. More disturbing was the fact that she appeared to be staring directly into the camera. That encounter should have convinced me to stop. Instead, it encouraged me to investigate further. Curiosity often disguises itself as courage when danger remains hidden. The second case took me to a forgotten church deep within the woods. The structure had been abandoned for nearly 50 years after a mysterious fire killed several members of the congregation. Locals refused to approach the area after sunset. Inside the church, my audio equipment captured whispers that nobody heard during recording. The voices spoke in fragments of sentences that sounded almost like warnings. Every message ended with the same chilling phrase, "Don't go below." At first, I assumed vandals were playing tricks on visitors. Then my camera captured movement near the altar. A dark figure crossed the room, despite the fact that nobody else was present. The third investigation occurred inside an abandoned boarding school. Multiple children had reportedly disappeared there throughout the early 20th century. Their bodies were never recovered. I spent an entire night documenting the building. Doors opened without explanation. Footsteps echoed through empty hallways, and distant laughter repeatedly appeared on my recordings. Every piece of evidence seemed impossible to explain. Near dawn, I discovered a classroom hidden behind a sealed wall. Hundreds of strange symbols covered the floor and ceiling. The markings matched symbols I had previously seen inside the farmhouse and church. That realization changed everything. The locations weren't isolated hauntings. Somehow they were connected by something much older and far more sinister. The fourth investigation led me to an abandoned hospital overlooking a fog-covered valley. Records showed dozens of unexplained deaths had occurred there over several decades. The building had become infamous among paranormal researchers. Within minutes of entering, my equipment began malfunctioning. Batteries drained unexpectedly, cameras restarted themselves, and electronic devices emitted bursts of static. It felt as though something actively resisted being recorded. While exploring the basement, I found more symbols carved into concrete walls. Beneath them were names matching those associated with the previous locations. Every clue pointed toward a hidden connection spanning generations. Then I discovered an old journal concealed behind a loose brick. The final entries described a group performing rituals designed to summon entities from somewhere beyond human understanding. The writer claimed the spirits demanded witnesses. According to the journal, cameras somehow strengthened the connection. Recording paranormal activity wasn't merely documenting events. It was inviting something to observe the observer in return. At that point, I genuinely didn't know what to do. If you had discovered what I found that night, would you have kept investigating or walked away forever? Let me know what you think before I tell you what happened next. Unfortunately, curiosity won again. The final location mentioned in the journal was an abandoned asylum hidden deep within the mountains. Every previous clue seemed to lead there. The asylum looked like a monument to forgotten suffering. Broken windows reflected moonlight across crumbling walls, and the entire structure appeared frozen in time. Even standing outside felt unsettling. Inside, I discovered evidence that the building had served another purpose beneath its public identity. Hidden tunnels stretched beneath the foundation. Ritual symbols covered nearly every underground corridor. The deeper I traveled, the colder the air became. Eventually, I reached a massive underground chamber, unlike anything I had ever seen. Ancient stone pillars surrounded a circular pit descending into darkness. My camera suddenly activated without my input. Static flooded the screen, while distant voices echoed from below. Then shapes began emerging from the darkness. At first they resembled human figures. As they approached, their proportions became horribly distorted. Limbs stretched unnaturally long, and their faces shifted constantly, as though unable to maintain a stable form. Dozens of them surrounded the chamber. Every camera recorded them simultaneously, despite appearing invisible to the naked eye. Looking directly at the monitors revealed more creatures than the human eye could perceive. Then I saw her. The same woman from the farmhouse footage stepped from the shadows. Her black eyes reflected the camera light as she pointed toward the pit. Something enormous moved beneath the darkness below. A gigantic shape slowly emerged. It wasn't a ghost in any traditional sense. It looked like countless human forms fused together into a single impossible entity. The chamber trembled as whispers filled the air. Every voice I had recorded over the years seemed to speak at once. They repeated a single message. We were filmed. The entity lunged toward me. My camera crashed to the ground as I ran through the tunnels. Behind me, hundreds of footsteps echoed through the darkness. I escaped the asylum before sunrise. Authorities later investigated the location after I reported what I found. According to official reports, the underground chamber never existed. The footage remained. Every recording survived despite severe equipment damage. Investigators failed to explain the figures appearing throughout the videos. My life changed completely afterward. Nightmares became a constant companion. Strange shadows occasionally appeared in reflections, and electronic devices sometimes activated on their own. Friends who viewed the footage reported unusual experiences. Several claimed they saw figures standing inside their homes shortly after watching the recordings. Most refuse to discuss the events afterward. Years have passed since that investigation. I no longer explore haunted locations, and I rarely review the footage. Some memories are better left untouched, yet one mystery still haunts me. During the final recording, there was a single frame that appeared only after digital enhancement. In that frame, standing among the creatures inside the chamber, was someone holding a camera. The figure looked exactly like me. The problem is that the timestamp showed the image was captured several minutes before I entered the room. Sometimes late at night, I still receive corrupted video files from unknown sources. Every file contains only a few seconds of static. Hidden within the distortion is the silhouette of a woman slowly getting closer. And with each new recording, she appears a little nearer than before. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like this video, subscribe to Grave Nova Stories, and share your thoughts in the comments below. I'll see you in the next nightmare.